Hey, good morning, grade 12s. So today I'm going to show you how we can do our GUI class or our object class, how this could work. So what we did previously with our tmarks, we created a unit where we had some attributes and we had some methods, of which we had the constructor that creates the object and our accessor, mutators, toString and other user-defined methods that we created. But now on our GUI, so let's assume this is how our GUI looked. We've got this button that will create a default student and just displays his information. This one we want to create John's information. Now John's information will be given by the user to us, and then we want to display John's information there. When we do show average, we want to see the average of John's marks, and we want to change test score 1, we want to change John's test score 1 in there and display it then there afterwards. So when we start at our user section, we do need to add our other unit name. So remember we called it CLS tmarks. So we have to add CLS tmarks to users. Then in our default button, because this object will only be used in this button, we can create it locally. So we create a variable, and then in there, let's call this one just object, because it's a default one, we don't know what we want to call it, and it is an object. But now its data type is the class name. So that is what you put next to type. So if you go on this side, what was next to type is the tmarks. So you're going to say tmarks, and that's our data type. Now to create the object, initially you're going to have to say your object colon equals to, and then again your class name. This is the only instance where you use the class name full stop the method name is when you call the constructor. So it's going to be again tmarks dot and then create. And you'll remember create without parameters is our default one. Then our object's created. Now to go and display it, we want to display it in the array display. Let's use the text method. And we want to display the objects toString. Remember we created the toString to display. And that's it. So let's quickly see what will happen. So when we play this, once you click this button, the object's created and it displays it. You remember our default name was nothing, and then the 3 test scores. Alright, so when we want to do the next one, John's information, remember the user was going to type in that. So let's see. Now for John's information, remember this object we want to use in other buttons as well. So that means it needs to be a global object. So we can just go to the top, create, let's call it John. And he is also an object, so he must be of type tmarks. Now in here we can go, well, for John we need his surname and his 3 test scores. So we need his surname, which will be a string, and we'll need his test score 1, test score 2 and test score 3, and they will all be integers. So now we just need to ask the user this. So we do that with a input box. Okay, so this is the create button. Okay. Okay, so then test score 1, we have to take our string to an integer. We have to do input box again. create button. Let's put some default values in there. Okay, we need to do this for test score 2 and test score 3. Remember, when you copy paste, just be careful that you change everything, otherwise it's not a good plan. Just changing the defaults as well so we can see that it displays correctly. Okay, now we've got all the values we need. Now we need to just go create the object. Remember, it's still not created. So our object John we want to create. So this is the only instance where we use our class name tmarks.create. But now we've got parameters, and you can see there's an option there where there's surname, which is string, and then an integer, integer, integer. So it's our string, then an integer, and an integer, and an integer. But we have to just put in the right ones. Test score 1, 2, and 3. Once we've done that, now we can just go display this. So in our display, we can use the text method and then just say we want to display John, but we want to call the toString method, because remember the toString combines all of these attributes for us in a neat manner. Then we can see if it works. Do John, so let's say surname is 10, 20, 30, and there you go. And that's how it is. Now we've got our object, so now we can use that object. So in our show average, we want to now go calculate the average for John. So if you remember let's go look, our get average was a function, so that means it's going to return the average to us. So we need a variable. Average is a double, so we're going to get an average. It's going to be of type double. So now we can just say average is, then we use our object because we want John's average, and we can call the method get average. That will do everything for us. And then we can maybe show message, and then just do our float to string of avg. Right, with these ones, just remember you can't click it initially. So you'll see now, if you're gonna go click it now, we're gonna get an error because the object's not created yet. So what we must do is you must go and click our John first to create the object. Now the object's created. Now we can show message. So 10, 20, 30, average of those three is 20. And then our last one, to use our change button. So if you want to change test score 1, that means we need to get a test score 1 from the user. But yeah, it's better to do it this way. Yeah, let's do it this way. So variable test score 1 is going to be an integer. Maybe lazy, just copy that. So we get the new test score from the user. Now we need to give it to our object. See, if you remember, in our object class, we've got a set test with changes. And it's a procedure, so that means it does not return anything. So we can just call our John, we want to change his, and we want to set his test1 to this new variable that we just received. And it's going to change it for us to then just see if it works. We can, in our display, use a text again, and we can just display John's information again. Once again, remember you can't click it initially, you have to go create John first. So we have to create John first. There you can see John with that information. There you can see his average is 20. So when we do this, we can change his test score 1 to 40. There you can see it's changed. And just to prove, we can do the average again, and now the average is 30 because of that. And that's how easy it is. And that's everything you need to know about OOP. Alright, good luck guys. Enjoy this. Please make notes, ask me questions in tomorrow's classes, and then I hope you understand all of this work. Goodbye.